grew up on the same foundation.
Yeah.
Let's see, it's 10 after 10. I gotta leave here about 10:30. Go to get my tooth cleaned.
Get your tooth cleaned, yeah. Clean your tooth.
And so you're gonna strike out about the time I do?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull out here. He's down that way, you know.
Well, I sure have enjoyed having you here, man.
I have enjoyed being here.
And that was fun working on that old car with you. That's nothing I'd rather be doing than working on an old car with Danny Brown.
Yeah. It's enjoyable. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
it's fun.
I sat down there and called Charlie this morning. I started to get up out of that chair. Both my knees just, oh God, you know, I stood up and after I walked around a little bit, it was all right. Yeah. Well, what causes that, Ken?
I don't know. Well, I've been told that getting old is not for sissies. You know, not for sissies. Me and Brown both had our chest chopped open, split open, and had people going in there messing around with stuff, you know, cutting and changing things around.
Yeah, changing our wiring.
We both been rewired, replumbed. We've been both had a plumbing job.
You had back surgery too, didn't you?
Yeah,
I did too.
Yeah.
I had carpal tunnel surgery on my right arm. Never made the left one. And it was
You must have quit typing in time.
I guess.
To not damage the left one.
Well, no, it's damaged. It will come out.
What caused it for you? Wrenches?
I don't know. I just got this hand would go numb.
Well, a lot of people do the computer a lot. They get that, you know.
But I had this finger locked down. It wouldn't come back. I'd have to reach over here and push it back. And this one does it sometimes. It'll lock down and I'll have to reach over and pump it back. And they went in right here, and it's called trigger release.
Oh.
Trigger release. They done that. But they done the surgery on my carpal tunnel first. And, well, right there was one too. Anyway, the guy that done it, the same guy that done this carpal tunnel, when I went back for trigger release, he was a sheep.
Really?
Yeah.
He had turned into
a sheep, full operation and everything, you know. Now I'm sitting over there looking at him and that ugly.
He didn't make a good looking woman.
No, he did not make a good
looking woman. A lot of guys don't.
Big old feet, high heels.
And this is why I can't have nice things.
Oh God, look what
I
just had to create a problem before I left.
You had to break something before you left.
Yeah.
Well, you may as well just go ahead and set it on fire.
Yeah, well, I can do that too.
I come out of the house this morning, I smelled something burning, you know, I hope that ain't burning. I hope I ain't set something on fire.
Well, at Barrel after I throw the cigarette and I said, God, I hope that went out, you know. I put it over and I thought, oh shit.
Somebody, a neighbor burning leaves, I guess, but that's the first thought I have when I come out and smell that. I said, oh, I hope
burning
something down.
I do believe my pants are on fire. Looks like my chair's on fire. I believe my table's on fire. Oops!
Hey, welcome to Rat Rodding. My name's Waylon Wire, and don't ever do what we do here on this channel.
Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome back once again to Waylon Wire's Old Iron. I just want to say thank you to everybody. You know, boy, I've just got the best subscribers in the whole wide world. The people that hang out here with me are just the best. That's all there is to it. I want to thank everybody for stepping up and helping out old Danny Brown, you know, when he really needed a helping hand, and I do what I can for him, you know, when I can, but I can't support him all the time. But I want to say thank you to everybody for chipping in and helping old Brown out. Man, he's going to have a good Thanksgiving. He don't even know it yet, but I shipped off quite a bit of money to him today. Through the donations that were made through PayPal to me, and then I sent it off to him, and I have no idea what he's going to get coming in the mail. That way, you know, some donations, but I know there's quite a few. And thank you to every one of you. That's so kind of you. And yeah, he's going to be just blown away at what's about to happen. I mean, it's major. It's major to him. And, you know, I was talking about it in that last video about people, you know, cared enough to give a little bit to the old guy, in some cases quite a bit. And I got a little emotional, and I'm going, okay, well, you don't be bawling, crying, snotting around on the camera, you know, you can't do that. But it really touched my heart what people did for the old boy. And he's very, very grateful. So I'm happy to announce that he had his heart surgery, he had this valve put in, and he's feeling better already. It helped with his dizziness, and just feeling better all the way around. And I would imagine so. His old hillbilly brain's starting to get a little oxygen. You know, the blood's flowing a little better, feeding his brain. That's what happened to me when I had my heart surgery. My heart was starving for oxygen. And so anyway, thank you all so much. And there's so many of you. And, you know, I was expecting $10 here and $20 there. And there was some that came through. It was substantial, you know, a couple $100, a couple times. And boy, that's going to mean a lot to him. So anyway, I'm going to get off of that, but thank you so much. That's all I can say. It's much appreciated. So now let's talk about this old 63 Impala for just a minute. Thanks for being here, guys. You know, this old car right here, it just absolutely amazed me. I struck out in this thing not even knowing if it would make it. I didn't know if I was going to break down 200 miles from home or 2,000 miles from home, or if I'd break down at all. I just had no idea, but it's been a dream of mine to drive this old car across country and hopefully back, you know. And so I just struck out and on a wing and a prayer and took a chance, and here we are, you know. And the further I got into the journey, the more relaxed I became, and I felt like, okay, it is going to start up this morning, you know. And when I first started out, I kind of wondered, I wonder if it'll start today, you know, and I wonder if I'll break down today, and I wonder how it'll be. But you know, I built this, I put this car together. I've owned it for over 20 years, but I put it together in 2008, I think, is when I did the restoration and rebuilt the engine and put this car all together. So between then and now, I had only driven this car about 7,000 miles in all those years. Because I know it had 104,000 on it when I got it out. Yeah, 104,000, but in those days, an old car like this, once they got about 98,000 miles on them, they were pretty well used up, pretty well shot, you know, and that's about all you could expect of them without some major work. So now I put 7,194 miles on this car this trip. So now this engine's got about 14,000, 15,000 miles on it. So it's broke in good. And I expect it's still got a lot of life left in it. And I would love to do that trip again. I'll tell you about that trip. I only have one major disappointment and one major regret. And I'll tell you what those are. So my only disappointment that I have in driving this car 7,194 miles to the East Coast and back to the West Coast again, one disappointment, and that was that I did not get to meet with Dan and Danny from DD Speed Shop. I was really looking forward to meeting those folks, and I know we'd have had a lot of laughs, and that would have been a lot of fun. And but Dan got sick, and he wasn't able to make it. They're only an hour and a half from the border, and we were going to meet up, but that didn't work out, so I'm disappointed about that, but I understand, and we'll make it happen one of these days, I hope. And the only regret I have is that I didn't take Bernice with me. Man, what a hoot. That would have been so funny to have Bernice riding in the other seat there. I thought I had seen pretty girls in my time, but that was before I met you. That would have been a blast, man. I mean, I had so much fun anyway, but that would have been funny. That would have been hilarious, and that's just my sense of humor. Because I was telling my daughter-in-law that I wish I'd have taken Bernice, and I was laughing. I said, "Can you imagine how funny that would have been?" I mean, people were waving and laughing and smiling all the way across America. But can you imagine if they'd have seen Bernice in there? That just cracks me up. That tickles my funny bone. That's just my sense of humor. And I was watching her as I was telling how funny I thought that would be. And I said, and she was laughing, I said, "You're not laughing at how funny that would be. You're laughing at how funny I think it would be." and she kind of acknowledged, yeah, that's probably true. But yeah, this old car served me well. And it just felt like a dream the whole time. I'm going, man, I can't believe I'm 2,500 miles from home in this old car, and then I can't believe I'm 3,200 miles from home, and I can't believe I'm 4,200 miles from home in this old car, and it was just like a dream. And then I get home and I go, I can't believe I drove that car over 7,000 miles, and no major issues, as all of you know, or most of you know, the heater core started leaking the night before I left. And I kind of jokingly said, well, maybe I should cancel my trip. And somebody commented and said, yeah, you better cancel your trip because you're going to have cold weather. And I answered them, my answer to them was, have you met Waylon Wire? No, we ain't going to cancel nothing. We plugged the hoses and hit the road, and I knew what I was going to do. So I stopped in the truck stop and bought a 12-volt space heater and had a big wire, and you couldn't just run it to the fuse block. You had to come off directly off the battery. So I had wires running out the hood and in through the door and into the cabin, and like good hillbillies would do, and it worked out just fine. Well, my GoPro just died, and I don't know exactly where I left off. I don't know what I was talking about, but I think I was talking about the fact that, I had to put the heater core in. Had one shipped to Wisconsin, my buddy Matt there, and I might have said in the video, I don't remember, but I never met him in person. But of course I know him, because we've been talking for 10 years and watching each other's videos or something like that, a long time. And we shook hands, and for the first time, and 5 minutes later, we ripped into this old car, and he did all the heavy lifting. He reached in there to those hard places and put those nuts on that heater. But we popped that out and put a heater core in. So I had half my shop with me. I had most of my shop with me, most of my tools with me. And I didn't use, the only time I used my own tools pretty much was when I got down to hard peaks, and I did use my jack stands. And I think he had some, but I said, well, mine are handy, they're right here. So I did use some jack stands when I repaired that broken shock, but the thing is, everywhere I needed something to do something in this car, I had a buddy with a shop and tools. So I had the heater core shipped to Wisconsin. While I was there, I had a dimmer switch. I was working on the headlights, getting the headlights to work, and the dimmer switch was bad on it. So I had a dimmer switch shipped to North Carolina and a brake line. So when I got down there, and I had a brake hose with me. Well, when I got there, Mr. Heavy Chevy's had a shop and tools and a lift and a place to work on it. So I put in a dimmer switch and a brake hose on the rear and a brake line on the rear. Had that shipped there, and then I got down into Georgia, and there was our peak, and he had a shop and tools, and they had a place to work on this thing once again. And every time I needed something, I had a shop and a buddy along the way. So just worked out great. And then I didn't have any more issues from there on. Oh, I messed around with that timing a little bit and the vacuum a little bit, but once this thing got in higher elevations and started breathing some clean mountain air, lean clean mountain air, it ran better. Of course, me and Brown, we changed the plugs in it, and that helped a little bit. Plugs were pretty wore out, and I just ran out of time before I left to change them. I should have done them before I ever went that far with it, but it's all good. That's how it worked out. So anyway, yeah, didn't have any more issues really. Maybe should have been adjusting the carburetor for the elevation and the air that it was breathing. Maybe should have been concentrating on that a little more than the vacuum. I don't know, but it did have a bad vacuum canister. Mr. Heavy Chevy found that, and he put on a good one, and thank you for that. So yeah, just drove the rest of the way home and without any issues, and it was such a wonderful trip, just trip of a lifetime, and I'll never forget it. There'll never be another time like that. I can't remember ever in my life having any more fun than what I did on this trip. Oh, it was something else. And I would just encourage you guys, if any of you out there got an old car, drive it, man. Get out there and drive it, you know. I don't know. I mean, there's so many different directions you can go in this hobby, but I'm not into trailer queens. You know, I believe in driving them. Only time I was going to be on a trailer is when I break it, and I'm going to break it because I'm going to drive it. So yeah, I got to drive the old car one more day after I got home. One last drive, one last little cruise up in the mountains, and it was wonderful. And yeah, now I'm going to change the oil and put it to bed for good. So what I'm about ready to do is go change out my school clothes and put on my play clothes, and then I'm going to come out here and I'm going to clean this shop, put away all the tools that I robbed and took with me on this trip that I didn't need. But it's okay. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and want it. So thanks to everybody along the way, you know, that helped me out. Thanks to everybody for following along on the trip and commenting and joining in with the live streams. And oh, it was just all a blast, and it just wouldn't be that much fun without you guys. So you guys made it a hoot, and thank you for that. Let's take a look at this old car in its natural habitat. All right, thanks guys. Welcome to the foothills, the eastern slope of the Cascade Mountain Range, in the great Pacific Northwest. My home. You know, I've been comparing myself to this old car quite a bit lately. It's 60 years old, I'm 70 years old. We both got a lot of miles on us. And some of them were some pretty twisty, windy, tough roads for a while, but nowadays we're both just trying really hard to be the very best versions of ourselves that we can be. And I think we help each other do that. Welcome to the Pacific Northwest. And my home, right over there. Tune in next time and hear old Waylon say, you know, I'm not sure what's going on here. Why don't you look up there on that bench up there? And look over there on that bench. And look along here. Look at this. All right, fellers and fellettes, that's going to do it for this time. Coming up, what we got? I got the door panels, inside panels for the little brown mouse, the little square body, 79 square body. I got the door latches for it. I got the patch panels. I'm going to be repairing the rust on that, get that taken care of. The Phoenix has got to have a steering column, or I got to take it out and repair the one. Oh, nightmare. Ignition's twisting that little plastic gear off that runs that little rod down to the starter inside the steering column. Got to be taken out and taken all apart and repaired, or I got a tilt steering column that I might put in that thing. I got to check it out and see if it's going to work. You are sitting on the rear duals, you guys. You're sitting on the rear tires of the Dirty Dozen, and the goal is to get a fuel system on that thing here pretty soon. It's right behind you. So, you know, there's snow outside, the Dirty Dozen's inside. When I get through plowing snow, you know where you'll find old Waylon. Yeah, right here in this shop. So until then, I sure do appreciate you, and thank you for stopping by. We'll see you next time right here on Waylon Wire's Old Iron.